Most people don't actually choose. They default choose.
Hi, I'm Claude.
And I'm Jess.
We are corporate employees by day, entrepreneurs by night, and work besties for life.
Join us as we explore how work besties lift each other up, laugh through the chaos, and thrive together in every industry.
Work besties!
So your message is so powerful. You talk about being the show up person. What does that actually mean, Marcy?
What it means is that I succumbed to how the world works today and I labeled myself. That's what it means. And we have to live in the duality of being who we want to be while also recognizing that for today's world, you need to brand yourself. So when I call myself the show up person, what I'm doing is I'm letting people know right here, right now, there's a message about how nature designed humans to show up. And that's what I'm offering.
So how do you show up?
I very much try to live what I actually believe about how the world works. And what I believe, Claude, is that we are all very fundamentally integrated. On my TED Talk, I explain we are all leaves on the same tree, right? Peoples across time have known this. There's this great quote from Chief Seattle going back hundreds of years, right? We are not, the web of life. We are a string within it. Whatever happens to one individual piece happens to the whole. Indigenous traditions have also known this. It's the kind of root of Buddhism, a lot of Eastern contemplative practices as well. My book has the science to support this. So going to give an example in our limbic system, our emotional system. Dacher Keltner, a professor of psychology and the head of the Greater Good Science Center at the University of Berkeley, did a study that showed that if you literally just touch the forearm of a stranger who you can't even see, the person's behind a curtain, with a 1-second touch, you know what they're feeling. The likelihood of guessing wrong in this study was below 8%. People got it right. I mean, right on to the word, almost 70% of the time. And I don't mean just happy, sad, mad, glad, right? I mean nostalgic. Look at the connectedness that's present in our daily lives, right? You're feeling what I'm feeling right now, Jess. Literally, the chemistry of your body is shifting because of what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, what the ideas are. Chances are your cortisol's down, right? Because I'm speaking with a lot of care and a lot of depth. Maybe your dopamine's up. Your oxytocin, which is the connectedness or love hormone, that's probably up. So literally the chemistry of your body is changing because of me. And I am changing because of you. So your question, Claude, was how do I show up? I very much try to show up in the truth of how nature designed us, which is that we are interconnected beings and that we are impacting each other at every moment.
I have a question. So from that study, you're telling me that if I'm in the subway, if I touch someone on their forearm, I can see how they feel?
You're gonna feel how they feel.
I feel. Just saying,
I
feel
do.
it.
I
Now, let me explain why it might not.
I mean, we are all stuck to each other.
Let me explain when it's not. When you're not gonna get it. When you're not receptive.
Okay.
Claude, you're not receptive if you are rushed, if you are stressed, if you are preoccupied. Are you?
All right. So
you're
I'm not going to get it.
You're mostly preoccupied or stressed.
If you're uncomfortable, maybe you really have to pee.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't have your coffee. Maybe you had too much coffee. Are you starting to see a pattern here?
Need to be like your head to be
Clear.
Let's talk about the levels. When you're in just showing up, let me talk about what just showing up is, because what it does is it disconnects us, right? A large portion of us feel disconnected from each other. We have a loneliness epidemic. I call it a show up crisis. Okay. There's a reason that in the UK, the government created a of loneliness. That's going on in America too, right? Vivek Murthy, who was our 19th and 21st Surgeon General, wrote one book. The book is called Together. It's about our loneliness epidemic. This stems from our not recognizing that we all evolved from the earth, and we are all not on the earth, we are of the earth, right? Just like an apple tree, apples the earth, peoples. We've lost a sense of being one with the more that's out there, including each other. That creates a massive stressor inside. There's, in essence, a turning up of the dial of our threat system. When we feel even the most minor threat, your faces or the face of a stranger, even if it's smiling, will be perceived by me as a threat. That colleague doesn't like me. Or you walk into a meeting and it's like, my God, Joe over there, he's always thinking that I don't really have anything to add to the party, and we perceive what's not there. We perceive threat because our system is protecting ourselves. Once you feel a lack of connection with each other, with the earth, with the people most important to us, we start to basically malfunction as humans because we're not designed to live the way that we live.
How do you stop this vicious circle?
You need to reset your body and your nervous system to one of open perceiving. We're actually not perceiving of what's really going on. And this is how, unfortunately, our years go by. And when we stop and think what's most important to us, we kind of know, but we're not living that. So we live in just showing up when we really want to live and truly showing up.
Marcy, since we're a podcast about work besties, a lot of the questions that our community asks us about is showing up and being your more authentic self at work. Level 1 is barely there, but level 2 is just showing up, and level 3 is truly showing up. How do you get to really, truly show up?
Start with resetting your body. Close your eyes. Re-embodying yourself. Breath is a great way. And it's slow breaths. I like the 4 in, the 4 out, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And do it for a series of minutes. Anything that switches you into your sensing system. We're only doing one of 3 things at any moment. We are focused on something, our mind is wandering, or we're sensing. And sensing can be what you're touching. It can be, oh my God, that tag's bothering me. It can be, I'm hot. But the point is, you're in your body. And when you're in your body, you aren't stressed. So what I mentioned at the end of my TED Talks that I've gotten really good feedback about is tracing a 3 on your palm. You can trace anything. You can trace a heart. I mentioned a 3 for level 3, truly showing up. So you do it slowly. Give it a good minute. What starts to happen is your perceiving of those exquisite receptors in your palm start to brighten, and they show up for you more and more, and you'll feel your palm in a way you never felt. Of like, wow, like I never felt that like certain spot over here is spot over here. What happens is your perceiving of your body. So those are 2 things. The last chapter of my book has a very highly regarded, clinically proven meditation called the Wheel of Awareness by Dr. Dan Siegel. I consider him to be the creator of a whole field of medicine called interpersonal neurobiology. I will mention one of the things in his meditation that differs from others. Once you've gone through a very deep body scan, which is feeling each part of your body as you breathe, what you do is you think about someone. And as you think about that person, and it can be someone you want to feel more warmth toward. It can be someone you love. It can be someone you're having an issue with. It can be your boss before a meeting, right? Picture that person. And with all the warmth and love for yourself that you've just focused on, send it slowly in an arc to them. And then feel them receiving it. But it doesn't stop there, because once they receive it, you sit with that. And then afterwards, you feel the generosity of that person sharing all that love together with theirs back into you, and you receive it. So to a certain extent, this is like the loving kindness meditation that's very much been chosen to literally revolutionize people's lives. 2 months ago, I saw an older gentleman with an infant. And we chatted for just a few seconds, and it was just so loving. And I shared with the man how loving it was that I saw how he held this child, who I later learned was his granddaughter. 3 or 4 days later, I get a message. He found me, and he said, "Marcy, I can't get out of my mind how you felt my connectedness." He said, "I've never truly been present with anyone in my entire life." And he said, "I suffer with this. Can you help me?" We meet on a Tuesday around 11 a.m. at a cafe. And he said, "My parents used to fight a lot, and the grounding in the house just disappeared. And my brothers and I just felt a lack of stability. I was the oldest one. So I would look at them, and I started to say, 'Let's go play basketball. Let me help you with your homework.' I became the fixer and the saver. My whole life is now defined by this. He married someone who he's now divorcing, who is dependent on him. He needs to be the one to keep everything moving in a smooth way. He's got a job, 500 people report to him. He's the COO. So he's very successful because of this, but he's never fully there, because the moment, even on vacation, the moment that everyone's good and everything's fine, his mind and body say, what's next? He can't be there. He has 5 kids. Why does he have 5 kids? Because he needs to always be so needed and to be in this life where he's keeping all the balls from dropping.
Yeah.
So he's telling me this. I said, "Chuck, I got it. Stop." And he said, "Even now, Marcy, I'm not here." So I said, "You see the man over there?" So there was a man sitting at the table near us. I said, "Look at this man." Looks at the man for 3 seconds and turns back and says, "Marcy, how could he be here at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday? What a schlump. He's not doing his job. He's supposed to be doing these things. He's an undependable person. He should be at work." So that's how he learned to show up. So he's judging everybody in this harsh world. And the world is an ugly place where he can't depend on people. So I said, "Chuck, keep looking." So he turned back and he looked toward the man. And this time with a little more grace, a little more acceptance, a little more inquisitiveness. And you could see his breath had shifted and his body settled just a little bit. But he really only gave it another 10 seconds, and he turns back toward me and he said, "The man's not looking at the person he's with. He's staring at his phone. Maybe there's something going on." And she's staring at her phone. Maybe they're both. So I said, "Okay, keep looking." And then you could see his whole body almost fall into his chair with some heaviness. And he said, in a totally different tone now, he says, "Marcy," he said, "the man is sad.
Mm.
And I'm sad." And he said, "I think there's something wrong." And he said, maybe that's his daughter. So now he's thinking about relatedness, right? My eyes are tearing now. Maybe the mother's in the hospital and they're trying to help her, and visiting hours start at noon. So he's here, but he's only going to be here now for another 20 minutes before he goes and helps his wife. And I really hope she's doing okay. And then he looks at me again. And there's tears coming down. And you've got to recognize Chuck, big guy. You don't expect this man to show emotion. So I said, "Chuck, what just happened?" And it turns out it's exactly what's in the book. He went from a version of barely there into noticing and then tuning in So he moved from just being an ego-driven self to being in a situation member role. He was presencing with that person, noticing and tuning in. And then he started to feel with and enact care. And he said to me, Marcy, do you think it would be okay if I give him a hug? So I said, if you approach him with something like, I'm noticing that there's something sad going on, and I just want to let you know I'm here and I'm supporting you, and would you like a hug? So he switched. He went from his head to his heart mode. The heart mode is a label that the head of the Stanford Center of Compassion and Altruism Research uses. His name is Jim Doty. He literally happens to be a neurosurgeon, and I believe now he's also the head of the Dalai Lama Foundation. He talks about heart mode. Well, what's going on is you've calmed your body and you're moving from human doing back to human being. You're moving out of get it done, have it, buy it mode or judge it mode into an interconnected being mode. And this is when, Claude, on the subway, you'll know with the touch what they're feeling.
Clear, but don't you think that the guy Chuck actually reflected what he felt to this guy, projection of his own feeling as well? Because maybe the guy that was on his phone was just on his day off, but it was a reflection of him, Chuck, needing to always help everybody on this guy that he's supposed to help.
Yes, to all of that. That may have been what's going on. And it doesn't really matter, because what is that he went from a low level to just showing up, barely there sort of person who never feels he's in the moment, who never feels he's presencing, because his nervous, he went from defaulting to sleepwalking through life place into a place where he was truly with someone. He might have been totally wrong, but he felt what the other person was feeling.
Empathy.
It's empathy moving into compassion. So the difference there, empathy is I'm feeling you, but you're you and I'm me. Brings your own system online in a much deeper way, such that you enact care. The continuum doesn't stop with feeling with. It's notice, tune in, feel with, enact care. That's when people show up to help those in need.
I think that example was really helpful, because it did go from somebody trying to solve a problem too, right? Like, not only did he put himself in this other person's persona, but he didn't go to like walk over there and be like, how can I help you? It was just the care and compassion. So bringing it back to Work Besties, I can try and provide examples for all of our Work Besties who walking into a meeting and you see that one person that you're like, oh crap, this meeting's going to go sideways. And maybe there's a way to reflect what you just provided and to find the compassion for that.
We need to move from spotlight thing where you miss the truth of the world into the bigger sense of, where does this fit in? The meeting now versus what our group needs to do next. The Chucks. So it's a practice of you just look at them and you let yourself reset. And if you're in a judging mode and words show up, you just let them go. And what will most likely start to happen is some information is going to come up that has an emotional charge with it, where the person becomes a human again, not a pain in the ass. And if the person continues to show up, the people around us continue to just show up. First of all, give it permission. It's the evolutionary stage they're in, or it's the moment they're in. And it's okay, because we get to choose how we show up. And over time, they'll choose how they show up. And if they come at us treating us as, we're just the analysis person who has to get the spreadsheet done, let it happen, because right then something's going to shift. Because the way you receive them will be with truly show up energy. And they might just bark something at you and say, let's sit down and get started, right? But they're going to feel you. And something in them is going to shift. And it might be a month of meetings every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. before they actually interact in a way that shows that. But you've already changed them. This is a huge point of showing up. You never leave anyone around you untouched. It's impossible.
Okay, what do you mean by that? How do you, when you say you don't leave them untouched?
With your countenance, your energy, your level of stress or calm.
Okay.
Because you're responding to me and I'm responding to you. So part of the model says that it explains that we and everything out there are in 3 roles. There's a situation, there's a self role, there's a situation member role, meaning we are co-creating what's going on. You are perceiving me. I am perceiving you, right? The chemistry of your body, as I mentioned, is shifting what you're doing, how you're sitting, whether you're smiling, when you're blinking, so much of what's going on right now for you is because of me. I am your environment and you are mine. And it might be a subconscious thing because not everyone's able to quiet their mind and reflect. Wow, I felt something a little different with Jess and Claude today. They aren't going to stop necessarily. Let me take out my journal and push the meeting off. Like, it's not right. That may not happen.
I'm not feeling this meeting. Can we just cancel it?
Realization that is unworded. It is beneath words, which is what you want.
Which actually, Marcy, you do bring up a good point. Like, although we just joked about it, there have been meetings where you can tell, you can sense, you feel somebody is perhaps not in this state to be collaborative or to be receptive. And there have been times where I know I've been in some meetings where myself or somebody else has stopped it and said, I think we should meet at another time. So I think you're right. There are ways when somebody else shows up, and yes, they are just showing up, but not in the way that's going to work for how you want to just show up.
How you want
that it is okay.
Yeah. So after this discussion, everyone you see, you're going to notice, wow, that person's truly showing up. They're showing up. Right. You start to notice it everywhere. It takes the judgment out because you relate to them with an open-hearted permission. So the continuum is a permission system. Everyone gets to show up for who and how they are. And most of us are just the living result of what happened in our childhood homes, right? Or that big seminal experience that happened when we were 18, or unfortunately the tragic event that happened recently, right? That's what shows up in our skin through us. So it hopefully opens us up to perceive each other with a little more love, even if you really, really, really dislike what someone's doing.
Marcy, bring up a good example. Let's say you're a leader of a team and you just had a bad day and your team has felt that you had a bad day. What would be your recommendation for the next step? Do you go back the next day and own up to it and try and show up then, or?
Yeah. So truly showing up is leadership. So repair must be done. Repair is essential. So if the best you had at some point was not good, right? And you mistreated someone at the soonest possible time, you say like, wow, I really just messed up and I wasn't thoughtful about you and what you're going through and what you need to do. What's a better way for us to get this done? So repair is essential because unprocessed things live in us and they take away from our health, from our joy, from the depth of our relationships.
Makes sense. So it's never too late.
You're impacting everyone in every moment and so are they. So your avarice, your disrespect, whatever it might have been, now it's in them. And they're spreading little cold prickles.
Exactly. Right. And then they can reciprocate to someone else.
It's never too late because once it's done, the it didn't end. It never ended. The person didn't move
Never.
because it impacted them and it's in them.
So Marcy, from a work perspective, there are so many meetings that we're in where you can tell the people that are truly showing up and there, but then there's other, let's call them barely there. What would you, and then maybe even themselves are sitting in the meetings, because I've actually been in meetings that sometimes where I'm not the one showing up, I'm just barely there. And I even think to myself, was I really in this? Like, what was the point? What's your best advice to someone? And when you catch yourself in that moment, what would you do differently?
And you feel the other humans in the room. You rehumanize everybody. It isn't the business partner guy, the supply chain guy. You feel the people as fellow human beings. They are impacting you. Honor that.
Right.
And you are impacting them. Right. So honor that truth about how humans are designed to exist. We are intertwined. So my advice is to recognize if you don't choose how you show up. Unfortunately, our default is to a level 2, which is a just showing up. And once again, what I mentioned, your focus is going to be a narrow thing and it's going to go, you aren't really there. You don't get deep on anything. No new ideas are going to show up. No real contributions to the agenda of the meeting are going to show up. And then you're going to look back and feel disappointed. So you've got to reset yourself. What you can do is choose one person at the table and just your body will soften. The most recent research I did was with the, about 1,000 global executives at a company that you've well heard of in the hospitality space. And what the survey said, like about 80% of the women said, I cannot be true to myself at work. I'm always in performance mode. I'm afraid to share my ideas. I'm afraid I'm speaking out too much. I'm afraid I don't speak out enough. I'm afraid I'm being judged. Right. So fear shows up. And what that means is that there's a lack of emotional safety in the workplace. What do you do? And there's two answers, because there's a bottom up. What can each person do? Which is you truly show up and use more words around, I feel that. Ask more questions. That is huge. What do you think would happen if? So instead of sharing your thoughts, it's, what would happen if this, or has anyone explored that? And share more of how you feel. Like, I'm starting to feel that the path of our decisions so far may not really achieve what we're looking for. What do other people think? Are you sensing it too? So bring more emotionally rich words in, but ask questions. That's really helpful. The other thing is that the company should probably do some version of top-down interviewing with key people to draw out the emotional environment that they create and to thereby kind of coach them to making sure that everyone feels safe speaking with them about the truth of what's going on in the office.
That makes sense.
True.
So Marcy, you shared a lot with us today. If the listeners could take just one idea from today's episode, which one do you feel they should take and you hope it really takes impact?
Yeah. Choose. Most people don't actually choose. They default choose. They just kind of keep going. I have to get this done. I have to get this done. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. They don't pause and ask themselves, how am I really choosing to show up right now? And then think about, how are they perceiving of others around them? How are they relating to the work they need to do? Because that just get it done mode also relates to the work. So choose. And by choose, what I mean, it's use both systems of attention, not just the narrow one, but what's the big picture? What's the meaning in what I'm doing? Why am I doing this? It's, because it's a small part of helping this group or provide, right? It brings the meaning back. So when I say choose, I'm really talking about expanding your your perceiving of what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Marcy, how can our listeners find and follow you?
So choosetoshow.com is the website, and the book, Amazon, How We Choose to Show Up. It recently won 2 Indie Book Awards. It also won the Hayakawa Book Prize, and it's a bestseller. So pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. So this conversation has been amazing. It's been definitely a master class in what it means to live with intention and just truly how to show up. And as we talked about, that it's not necessarily something that anyone can't do on their own, but also to just constantly be challenging yourself on that. And it's okay to take steps back and just reflect on it. But before we let you go, we'd love to ask one more questions that our listeners were curious about. What's that one thing you wish every work bestie knew about how to help each other truly show up, especially on those really hard days?
Yeah. So when you truly show up to your work bestie, you're going to be totally in receiving mode, and you're going to feel them, and you're just going to help them feel felt. That's massive.
Thank you, Marcy. We so enjoyed having you.
And work besties, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. We learned a lot. Thank you so much, Marcy. And do not forget to follow us, subscribe, and like the episode. Thank you all. See you next week.
Remember, whether you're swapping snacks in the break room, rescuing each other from endless meetings, or just sending that perfectly timed meme, having a work bestie is like having your own personal hype squad.
So keep lifting each other up, laughing through the chaos, and of course, thriving. Until next time, stay positive, stay productive, and don't forget to keep supporting each other.